So let's get started with 3G today. It is all review in preparation for your quiz tomorrow. We'll do a handful of problems together, and then after lunch, you'll continue it on your own. So, of the solving of equations, let's go through a couple that I know are a challenge. Let's start with one of the more basic of the challenge ones, and that's number 2. Who can tell us what we do first? Why don't I give you all 30 seconds? And that way, if you want to share it via the chat, you can do it privately in the chat, or you can do it out loud. But if you know, go ahead, put it into the chat. On number 2, what should we do first? I see one chat answer. 2 chat answers. Oh, sorry, just one chat answer. Max, good. Yes, good. Okay, they're saying we should multiply, and that is exactly correct because on number 2, it's saying x divided by 7. So we are going to multiply both sides by 7. Because to undo division, we use multiplication. So 7 times 6 is 42. 42 will equal x. And that's just a one-step equation, so we're done, except for our check. So remember, for our check, we write the equation. It says 6 equals, and instead of x, we put in a 42 over 7. One moment, Gabe. Then we bring down the 6, and we ask ourselves, what is 42 divided by 7? It is 6. Yay, we have a true statement. So 42 equals x. Is correct. Yes, Gabe, go ahead.
Am I allowed to go on if I'm on number 6 already? Or do you want me to wait?
People can go on, but when I move on to the next question, like if I'm saying, okay, everybody look at 5, please pause what you're doing and go look at 5 to see if you did it correctly. Okay? And that is the one I want us to do next. So if everybody can look at number 5. Okay? Go ahead, again in the chat, participate here. What should we do first on 5? There's a lot more happening on this problem. What should we do first on number 5?
Subtract 4.
Good, all right, so someone just said it out loud. Okay, so we're going to subtract 4, exactly. Remember, we're undoing order of operations, so normally addition and subtraction comes at the end, but since we're undoing it, that's going to be our first step. Make sure to subtract from both sides. So now 10 minus 4 is 6. The 4s will cancel, and I'm just left with 2/7 x. Okay? So again, undo that adding and subtracting first. Alrighty, here's the big test. Who's been studying and who's been listening? What do we do now? That would work. So in class, someone said we multiply by 7. That's a totally fine answer. That is something we can do. We can do even more if you want to, but these were the choices. And yesterday we did both options. So we can just multiply by 7 first, or because this fraction is together, we can multiply by the reciprocal, which is 7 over 2. Exactly. However, if you just multiplied by 7, I will do that in a second because it's okay. You just have one more step afterwards. All right. Now remember, when I do that, I'm really going to make this 6 over a 1. And now we can multiply across. 7 times 6 is 42. And 2 times 1 is 2. On the right-hand side, the whole point of multiplying by 7 halves was to cancel. So now it's just an x. Is this how I want to leave my answer? No. Who can tell us? What's 42 divided by 2? 21. Good. So x equals 21. Before I circle that, we need to do our check. So 10 equals 2/7 times 21 plus 4. Okay, make this 21 over a 1. So now it's saying 10 equals 42, right? 2 times 21 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 4. What's 42 divided by 7? 6, good. So now I have that 10 equals 6 plus 4, and 6 plus 4 is 10. Woohoo! So x equals 21 is correct. If we did it the way Alyssa said, where we would multiply by 7 first, that's fine because we'd get 42, and then you'd have to go divide by 2. And 42 divided by 2 gives me the 21. So it's your choice there, guys. Okay? If you want to do it all as one step or break it up into 2, it's your preference. Okay? We had a question that someone asked just about number 1. So let's go back to that one. Because what's in number 1 that we haven't done really much of at all this semester? Max? Dividing. Well, we've been doing dividing. That's what you're going to do. You're right. But what's different about number 1 that we haven't really seen much this semester? Yes, the negative. So Max is correct that we're going to divide. This time, though, we have to divide by -6. That left-hand side, those -6's cancel, and we just get x. But our right-hand side, we need to remember our negative rules.
Isn't 8 like positively? Actually, no, because they're different signs, so it's
Exactly. So what the rule is for multiplying and dividing is when they're different signs, your answer will be negative. If they're the same, it's positive. So if it was -48 divided by -6, we'd get +8. Of course, if it's both positive, it makes sense that it would be positive. Different signs is negative. So we'll do our check there. And we get, does -6 times -8 equal 48? And there we are, same signs, so that's going to give me a positive answer. So hooray. Are there any other questions, guys, with solving equations? I know there's a lot more problems for you to do, but take a quick scan at the ones we haven't done. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
But wouldn't it be +6 for 1 because it's negative?
Okay, let's go back to number 1. The question is, wouldn't it be +6 for So let's just talk about that. That's a good idea. I'm just going to write it up here in green, and then I'll erase it afterwards so it doesn't save. But the problem says -6x equals 48. And so Tim's saying, shouldn't I add 6? You're on the right track, but let's pause for a second and ask ourselves, what operation is really occurring right here, Tim? What if I was to read this out loud? Does that say, like, what does it say?
It's multiplication.
Exactly. So how do I undo multiplication is with division. It's just in this case, what am I multiplying by? I was multiplying by -6. So that's why I need to make sure to now to divide by -6. If the question said this, Tim, I'll use even a different color. Let's use pink. Okay? If the question said -6 plus x equals 48. Now, how would I get rid of that -6? It's no longer multiplying. That's when I would add 6. Okay? So see the difference there between the signs here, and then technically there's really a multiplication sign in our problem. Okay? That's a good question, though. So always ask yourself what operation is really occurring, guys, and then use the opposite operation of that. Any other questions, like I was saying, on any of the solving equations right now? Do any of them look a little intimidating that you want to do together? Alishka?
3.
3? Okay. So if we look at 3, let's get a darker color. What operation is currently happening? Subtraction. So how do I undo subtraction? Addition. Very good. So we will add 11 to both sides. So that right-hand side, those 11s cancel, and I'm left with x. And now here again, you need to remember how to use negatives. So -5 plus 11. 6. Very good. That's really saying like 11 minus 5. You have a -5 amount, and then you can always use a number line. At -5, we add 11. We're getting more positive, and that will take us to +6. Okay? We do our check. So 6 minus 11, does that equal -5? And 6 minus 11, in fact, right? We have a smaller number, and then we're subtracting a large number, so that is going to bring me to a negative answer. So that's correct. Okay, so everybody, wherever you are, especially if you went ahead, please make sure to check the problems that we have right now. 1, 2, 3, and 5. Make sure you did those correctly. And when you submit it, if they're wrong, I know you weren't paying attention. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and 5. Make sure we're all good with those. Any questions? All right, let's keep on going then. Are there any other of the solving equations up through number 12 that you would like to look at that look a little daunting to you? Max? 11? Okay, and then at home, I'll listen to anybody at home. Let's first do
12.
11 and 12. Okay. So for number 11, we've got a lot going on here. What do we want to undo first, Max? What do you think?
Subtract 1 from 9.
Exactly. We need to subtract. Remember, we are actually doing the opposite of order operations, so getting rid of addition first is what we're going to do. It was a +1, so we subtract 1, and that gives us 8 equals 3/4 x. Okay, here's that fraction, so we have 2 options. The fastest option is to use the reciprocal. So that reciprocal is to use 4/3 times 4/3 to both sides. Question on this problem?
Number 10 and number 5 are the same.
Or exactly the same?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You should get it right. And then we'll make 8 have 8/1. Sorry, guys, I just have to admit. There. Okay, go back. Okay, so now we multiply across. 4 times 8 is 32. 3 times 1 is 3.
Sorry, I disconnected.
No problem. Thanks for jumping back on. Okay, can I divide that?
No, it's gonna be a 10. It's like decimal.
So, right. So we don't want to do that. We're big kids now. We're in high school. Guess what? We're leaving our answer as a fraction. All right. If you want to make it a mixed number, you can, but leaving it, as long as this is a reduced fraction, right? I can't divide both of those by any values. You can leave it just like that. Okay. If you made it as 10 2/3, that's okay too. Okay. Let's just do the check of that so everybody's okay with how to multiply. So the check would be saying 9 equals 3/4 times 32/3 plus 1. So we carry the 9. And now you can multiply right across, but does anyone know a shortcut here? See how there's a 3 up top and a 3 on the bottom? You could cancel them, okay? I'll just continue with our multiplying though, so that we're just being consistent. So 3 times 32 going across is 96. 4 times 3, everybody knows, is 12. And then we reduce that. 96 divided by 12 gives me 8. And what's 8 plus 1, everybody? 9. So yay, that's a true statement. So the fact that I circled 32/3 is good. Why don't I give everybody a moment to do number 12? If you haven't already, go ahead and do number 12. Okay? Pretty similar to what we just did. And when you feel confident, put the answer that you got in the chat. And maybe we have different answers, and that's okay because it brings up discussion. So go ahead, and then I'll put it up. Anyone have? Oh, I've got one person, 2 people. Oh, and you both popped in at the same time with 24. Let's see if anyone else is getting that solution. Is anybody else getting 24? Got another one? Anyone getting something different? All right, let's look then. So the first thing we're going to do is what on number 12? What's the first thing we're going to do on number 12?
Add 2.
Yes, good. Now we're left with 2/3 x equals 16. Here's your choice. We could either just multiply by 3, and then you'll have another step, which is totally fine to do, or we can use the reciprocal. Those 3's cancel, those 2's cancel, so I'm just left with the x. I'll make 16 over 1. And we go across. 16 times 3 is 48. 1 times 2 is 2. And that one we can reduce. They're both divisible by 2, and that gives me the 24. So you guys did that correctly. Good job. Okay? All right, the other ones I'm going to let you guys solve on your own. Right now, I'm going to go over a few of the word problems and get those started with you. Okay? So let's do 13 together. Again, everyone should be with me on this one so that you can make sure you're good with it. And then we have plenty of time after lunch to go back to finish the packet. So 13 says Sarah and Shelly each received a check from their grandparents for their birthdays. Sarah's check has 12 more than Shelly's, $12 more than Shelly's. Shelly received a check for $18. Write and solve an equation for the amount of Sarah's check. How much was Sarah's check? So let's hear from someone we haven't heard from today. What are we looking for? What should X represent? So this is not a calculation number. What should X represent? I've heard from most of you in class. How about somebody at home that we haven't heard from today? What are we looking? Say that again.
How much is Sarah's check?
Very good. So X is the amount of Sarah's check. Or if you said the money on Sarah's check, or the amount Sarah has, anything like that. But we want to be specific that it's an amount of money and that we're talking about Sarah. Does anyone feel confident in sharing their equation?
I will.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is right, but
Are you doing it so that it doesn't equal x?
no, but I can do that.
Okay. Remember, we're trying to avoid where it says numbers equaling x at the end.
So would you start it with 12 or 18 plus 12? No, x equals 18 plus 12. Same thing.
Right. You're on the right track. I know you're, like I said, since this is a one-step equation, what you're doing totally works to give the correct answer, but we're trying to practice.
Do you have to do subtraction?
You do. Who has more money, Sarah or Shelly?
Sarah.
Right. So we're going to start with Sarah, subtract the difference of $12, and that'll give us the lower amount, which is Shelly's amount of 18. And Gabe, look, right? What am I going to do to solve that? We're going to
Add.
And that's what you were doing in your head, right? You were doing 18 plus 12. So that's what I'm saying is what you were doing is correct. We're just trying to write that equation in a better way. So that gives us 30. That gives us 30 apples. What does that give us?
Colors.
Right. Okay. So the amount Sarah has is $30. And again, that sentence doesn't have to be exact. You could say Sarah's check is for $30. There's $30 on Sarah's check, right? But again, we're talking about Sarah and that it's $30. Any questions? Okay, let's skip 14. I'm going to have you come back to that one after lunch. Let's do one of the following of 15, 16, or 17. Does anyone have a preference of which one we do together as a class?
17.
17. All right. So we're looking at 17. We're checking to see if something's a solution. What does it mean to do when I want to know if something's a solution? Plug it in, Jocelyn says. Exactly. So we're going to take that 20 and plug it in for x. So it'll say 2/5 times 20 plus 11 equals 17. Now we need to simplify that left-hand side to see, do we actually get 17? So what should I do with this 20?
I did? No.
What should I just do basically with this 20? Just always put the 20 over 1, right? Okay. Multiply across. 2 times 20 is 40. 5 times 1 is 5. Carry down that plus 11 and the 17. Keep on simplifying. I'm just going to move over here. What's 40 divided by 5? 8. So 8 plus 11 equals 17. What? Exactly. Because what is 8 plus 11? 19. So what is this telling me? Is 20 a solution? No. So 20 is not a solution. If we get, yay, 17 equals 17, then 20 would have been a solution. Okay? So remember, that's what you're doing for those problems, is seeing if you get true or false statements.
I genuinely thought that you thought that 8 plus 11 was 17 for a second.
All right, so just take your time with those. All right, and last but not least, we're going to start the last word problem together. And again, you will finish that up. So let's read the scenario to get an understanding of what we're doing. It says Haley, so everybody make sure you're down to this point now. Number 18. Are we all there? It says Haley needs to go to the post office to mail a package. She plans on buying a box for $6, and the post office will charge her based on the weight of the package. The charge is $2.50 per pound. All right, so I'm going to underline some important information. $2.50 per pound, and we're buying a single box for $6. How much will her package be if it weighs 1 pound? So what do I have to pay for this total thing? $2.50 per pound, right? So $2.50, and how many pounds am I multiplying $2.50 by in this case? 1. Good. So $2.50 times 1. Any other charges that she has to pay for? Right, we have to add 6. We're buying that one box. So plus 6. I'm not multiplying 6 because I'm just buying one box. It's a one-time fee for the box. So simplify that. $2.50 plus 6 gives me $8.50. We write that with a complete sentence. The package will cost, oops, $8.50. Now listen, guys, if you're using a calculator, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Look at the screen. So if you're using a calculator, you may get the number 8.5. Is that how I should write money? When we're talking about money, it's cents, right? So never say $8.5. Show me 8 and then add that 0 in, so it's $8.50. Okay? So what's going to happen when I do 5 pounds? I'll start that one. You guys start that one off for me. Exactly. So Aleshka's saying $2.50, then parentheses 5. It's $2.50 per pound. So since there's 5 pounds, we need to multiply it by 5. And then we add just 6 still once. Okay? If I wanted for 25 pounds, I'd multiply by 25 and so forth. I'm going to let you finish solving that on your own, writing the sentence on your own. Okay? Continue with that. I'm going to have you guys practice expression writing, and then solving an equation for 22. Okay? So when you guys, we have 2 more minutes. You keep working, of course. When you guys come back from lunch, we're going to finish this packet, and then I'm going to put up the answers so we can check to see how you did. But we did a lot together, so there should really be no reason why we should be, everyone should be submitting their classwork before class is over. Okay? So continue to work on this. When the bell rings, everyone can go to lunch, and then we'll report back together around 11:55. Off you go.